Welcome to the Anxiety Connection. If you've ever struggled with anxiety and are ready to finally get some answers, you've come to the right place. Hi, my name is Wendy Leeds, and I've suffered with anxiety my entire life. Thankfully, I'm also a psychotherapist, and over the years, I've learned a lot about anxiety, where it comes from, and how to manage it. That's what this podcast is all about. So, let's grab a cup of tea and talk about it. Hi, this is Wendy from the Anxiety Connection. Welcome to our third podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to talk about switching your focus from all the negative fear-based thinking you've been doing and focusing on what you really want in life. Wonderful relationships, fun, success, accomplishment, the excitement of adventure, and all the possibilities and opportunities that lie ahead. Before we get started, I want to introduce our anxiety crew. As always, my husband, Tim.
Hello, this is Tim.
And he's in charge of everything but the talking.
I'm still not doing the talking.
Well, most of the time.
Most of the time.
And our snoring dog, Miles. So again, if you hear snoring, it's not us, it's the dog, really. I want to begin today by sharing with you one of my very favorite stories about two wolves. One evening, an old Cherokee brave and his grandson were sitting by the fire talking about life and truth when the grandson asked, "What's the truth about people, grandfather?" The old brave answered, "There are two wolves inside each of us. One wolf is dark and angry. It's full of evil and greed and hatred. This is the wolf of fear and hate. The other wolf is light and good and full of joy, love, and peace. This is the wolf of courage and love." Now, these two wolves are locked in a fierce, ongoing, never-ending struggle that lasts our entire life. The grandson leaned forward nervously. "Which wolf wins the battle, grandfather?" "The one you feed," the grandfather answered. Now, you may have heard that story before, but today I'm going to ask you to think about these wolves a little differently, in a way that fits what we're talking about here at the Anxiety Connection. And thanks to Tim, who gave me the idea.
I'm always here to contribute.
And in many wonderful ways. Thank you. Today, I'm going to call the dark wolf the wolf of anxiety, and the good wolf the wolf of peace and calm. And I know if you have anxiety the way I do, you know what I'm talking about. That anxious wolf is the wolf of fear, and it keeps you up at night and makes your days miserable with thoughts of worry and panic. The wolf of peace and calm, on the other hand, is that side of you, the centered, loving person who lives in peace and ease. And I know from experience, and I bet you do too, that those wolves are always battling inside of us. It's that constant, ongoing struggle back and forth for our heart and our soul and our life. But here's the good news. No matter what happens to us, no matter what, we always have a choice about which of those wolves we're going to feed. No matter how difficult the situation, you may not have chose it, but you get to choose how you feed those wolves. And that is where your power lies, in that decision. And it's a choice no one can take from you. No one can tell you which wolf to feed. Nothing can stop you from feeding the wolf of your choice, except you. So the question becomes, how do we make that happen? And I want to share with you today what I've learned over the years. And I'm going to start by talking a little bit about each wolf, starting with the wolf of anxiety, or the anxious wolf. This wolf is the voice inside you that whispers, "Go ahead, eat that Snickers bar. Remember that thing you tried? It went terrible. Because you're just a loser. Things may be going well now, but just you wait. For me, in my life, the wolf sometimes growls and sometimes howls. You have to be perfect in order to be okay. You have to be perfect and do it right. No mistakes for you, sunshine. And here's the worst and the hardest part for me. If you can't do it right and you know you're going to mess it up, don't even try. Just settle for what you've got. No big dreams for you. And it's so much easier, I find, to feed the negative wolf. Why? Well, first of all, think back to your childhood. What did your parents tell you? Stop that. Don't do that. It's too dangerous. You can't. That's wrong. You're wrong. Good girls don't do that. Good boys don't do that. Does that sound familiar? We hear a whole lot more of no, don't, can't, than we hear of yes, do, can. Now, we're not blaming parents. It's the way they were probably raised, and they were trying to keep you safe. They were trying to mold you into a productive member of society. But what they taught you was to be afraid. It's not only the way we're raised. If you listen to the news, if you listen to what people around you are talking about, thousands of planes each year take off and land safely. Do we hear about it? No. We hear about the crash in terrible, horrific detail. We focus on the negative because it surrounds us. The other reason I think it's really easy to feed the wolf of anxiety is that, frankly, it's easier to give up than to take action, especially in the short term. In the moment we're faced with the decision of which wolf to feed, it becomes easier to whine, to complain, to put it off, to blame others, complain about your circumstances, to blame your parents, your boss, your friends, the weather, the bossa nova. And once you've blamed someone else and you've allowed it to be something you can't control, it's really easy to settle back in your big comfy chair, put up your feet, and just continue to feed that anxious wolf. I know, been there, done that, have the t-shirt. But the downside of that is the price you pay in the long run and the way you feel about yourself. The last thing about that anxious wolf, and maybe you noticed it too, it doesn't go away. It's always there. The struggle in our life, the difficulty is learning to feed it less and to feed the wolf of calm and peace as much as possible. That's easier said than done because feeding that wolf of calm and peace requires courage and the decision to take charge of your thoughts and feelings and action. And that can be so scary that it's really easy to keep putting it off until tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. So today, I want to help you change that right now. Stop putting it off, because here are some techniques you can use to help you find ways to nurture and nourish that wolf of calm and peace. Number one, first, just become aware of all the negative thinking you do. Just be aware. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to judge it. Just notice it. Notice how often you're feeding that anxious wolf. How long? Does someone make you do it? Do you do it yourself? And please, no fair beating yourself up for negative thinking. You're just noticing. Number two, practice gratitude. I know this is a tough one. Things may just seem to be so difficult that there's nothing to be grateful for. But I want to challenge you. Take a minute while I'm talking. Look around. Can you find 10 things to be grateful for? Are you breathing? Count in 1 and count out 2. See, you've already got 2 things. If you're upright and functioning, 3, 4. Can you see, hear, taste, touch? I'm talking about being grateful for the small things in your life. It can just be a comfortable chair. For me, a cup of tea. Tim, what's for you?
I like to have a glass of ginger ale. That's calming to me.
I bet you'd rather have a beer.
I'd rather have a beer, but that's not on the menu right now.
Not today. No beer today. So think about, take a moment and just think about what you're grateful for. Richard Carlson, in his great book, shares a story about his very young daughter coming downstairs to breakfast every morning, and she would say, "We get another one of these," meaning a whole new day to enjoy and live to the fullest. That's something to be grateful for. Stop as often as you can during the day to feed this wolf of calm, because gratitude is one of this wolf's favorite meals. And the more often you practice gratitude, the more you nourish and support this calm wolf. One other thing you can do to feed this wolf is to visualize what you really want. And today, let me offer you a simple, fun visualization you can do anytime you want to feed this wolf. Take a deep breath and let yourself relax. Just let your body be at peace. If you're driving, do not do this, but if you're not, close your eyes. Now imagine yourself in a movie theater in one of those comfortable chairs, and the movie is just starting. As the music plays and the lights flash up on the screen, the credits appear, and you realize that you're the star of this movie. Not only that, you're the director, the producer, and the writer. Imagine a small door opening up in the screen, and it's inviting you to get up out of your chair, walk up the aisle, and straight into that screen. Now you're actually in the movie. And as the director, you direct the action, and as the star, you get to act the part, and you get to design and create this movie any way you want. Take a moment and think about it. What do you really want? Can you picture yourself winning Project Runway, running a bed and breakfast, starting a nonprofit, owning your own plane, and being able to fly anywhere, anytime you want? Be creative. No limits, no rules, just fabulous fun and freedom. Take a moment and enjoy the feeling of having a life that's filled with everything you've ever wanted. When you're done, take that feeling of fun, success, and love into your day. Know as the person in charge of this movie, you can rerun it anytime, and you can rewrite it as many times as you would like. All right, let's sum up. Number 1, to feed this wolf of calm, you're going to be aware of your thoughts. Number 2, you're going to practice gratitude as often as possible. And number 3, you're going to spend time every day visualizing what it is you truly want. All right, we've talked about thinking ways to feed these two wolves, but I believe that it's not just what you think that nourishes these wolves, it's actions as well. The actions you take feed these wolves just as effectively as your thoughts. And why is that important? Because one day, and maybe today, you're going to be in a place where you're not going to be able to find a single good thought about yourself, the situation, the people around you, the planet, or the universe. Happens to everybody. You may not be able to change your thoughts, but you don't have to. All you have to do to begin to nourish the wolf of peace and calm is to take a positive action. It can be brushing your teeth, calling a friend, writing in your journal, reading a good book. For me, it is a cup of hot, strong tea. Tim?
Well, when times are a little stressful, I like to go down into my man cave and throw in a movie and kind of zone out for a while.
Right. And the louder and more explosions, the better, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Absolutely. The house vibrates, but in a wonderful way, because it's feeding that wolf of peace and calm. And a lot of talk about immune systems these days. The research shows if you want to boost that immune system, do something nice for someone else. Not only are you feeding their wolf of peace and calm, you're feeding your own. And nothing could be more powerful than that. One teeny tiny thing can change everything for both of you. So thinking, acting, And finally, it brings me to the third way that we feed that wolf, and that is the words we say, the language we use to other people. And if you find yourself stuck in those never-ending negative thoughts, I'm going to urge you to make a commitment to yourself for just, try it for 10 minutes, to only say positive things. And why would that be effective? Because when you think, your thoughts loop in that never-ending cycle, and I bet you know what I'm talking about. You're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're messed up. Talking, using language requires another step in your brain. And that step allows for that filter that we all have, thank goodness, that keeps us sometimes from saying things we're thinking that we really don't want to share with other people. But that step can also flip that switch from feeding the negative wolf to finding the positive. Now, I'm going to share honestly, I have tried this. I know it works, and I keep trying to do it. And I'll share, I started by committing to a week. That didn't work. So I committed to a day. That didn't work. I will admit the farthest I've ever gotten is breakfast with positive talk, right, Tim?
Yes, that's true.
But as I'm speaking, I'm thinking this week, I'm going to commit to going as long as I can and only speaking positive words to the people around me. You can have all the negative thoughts you want, but will you take that challenge with me? I hope you will. And let me know how it goes. You can check in with me at wendyleeds.com. Love to hear from you. Also, Facebook, Wendy Leeds Keeping Calm. Let's get to know each other. To get in touch, go to the show notes on my website, wendyleeds.com. I am so looking forward to being in touch with you. If you enjoyed this podcast, I hope you'll subscribe. And until we're together again, I wish you peace, joy, and love.